This is not the age of a person you'd typically expect to be a smoker. But this was when Wynn Welch began a habit that would almost kill her.
I think I started smoking with my sisters, sneaking around the house about 11 years old. As I got older, I can say a pack a day, pack and a half a day.
You were addicted.
I was definitely addicted to the menthol.
Menthol is a chemical compound that inside a cigarette can create a cooling sensation in the throat, making it easier to inhale and harder to quit. For years, tobacco companies aggressively marketed the cigarettes to the black community. Welch, who now lives in Wisconsin, smoked menthols for years. She was able to kick the habit, but says at the age of 58, she was diagnosed with lung cancer and that it eventually spread to her brain.
You'd think like, oh, it can't be me. I haven't smoked cigarettes in so many years. I can't have cancer. Yeah, so I cried like a baby. One of the surgeons just held me and say, it's okay, it's okay.
President Joe Biden could be nearing a decision on whether to prohibit the sale of menthol cigarettes. It is a ban the Food and Drug Administration has sought for years, but the pushback is strong.
In eastern North Carolina, the sweet smell of tobacco drifts across farms. The state as a whole produced 260,000 pounds of tobacco last year. In 2022, the crop generated more than $500 million in economic activity for the state. That's a fraction of what it once was, but tobacco is still a key part of the local economy. Linwood Vic has 800 acres.
Trying to make a living farming is tough, but it's an honest day's work. That's just something I really enjoy doing.
Vic says a ban on menthol cigarettes would put 100 of his employees in jeopardy, hurting communities like his.
We've all know that cigarettes are not healthy for you, but it is an adult choice, an adult privilege that we have. The unintended consequences of a menthol ban would cause illicit trade. People are still going to want menthol cigarettes, and we have learned before that prohibition does not work on things.
The Tax Foundation estimates a ban on menthol cigarettes would cost states and the federal government more than $6 billion in tax revenue the first year. Tobacco companies and businesses like convenience stores also would be hurt. But there could also be a major saving of lives. The FDA says getting rid of menthol could prevent hundreds of thousands of smoking deaths over several decades. Most of them would be Black Americans who disproportionately smoke menthols.
A life is definitely more important than a job.
Today, Welch is cancer-free. 50 years since she first picked up that cigarette, she is fighting to make sure no one else repeats a choice that almost killed her.
As far as wishing I knew what I know now, I would have never picked up a cigarette. I would have never picked up a cigarette.
It wasn't that long ago when cigarette ads were everywhere. But tobacco companies focused their marketing of menthol cigarettes on often one group of potential smokers, Black Americans. At the time, relatively few African Americans smoked. Big Tobacco saw targeting them as a way to grow their business. At a time, new public health concerns about smoking threatened to shrink it.
The industry saturated African American predominant areas, plastered them with billboards for menthol cigarettes, and gave away free samples on the street, giving money to the NAACP. It was extraordinarily effective. Something like 85% of African American adults who smoke do so with the menthol brand.
Wynn Welch, who says she later developed cancer from menthol cigarettes, remembers growing up in the Midwest where menthols were everywhere.
We was all addicted to that menthol. The cool cigarettes was the thing in Chicago, Illinois. Not Newports, but cool cigarettes.
Cool, literally, because the chemical compound menthol provides a cooling sensation for the throat, making cigarettes easier to inhale and harder to quit. Dr. Robert Jackler researches the marketing efforts of tobacco companies.
The industry would portray The reason that blacks use menthol is some biological preference for menthol taste, and that's nonsense.
The Food and Drug Administration has been trying to put in place a ban on menthols for years. One reason President Joe Biden is considering approving the ban is the harm the cigarettes are having on African Americans. But the issue is also dividing some in the black community.
Economic wellness is a part of this too.
Democrat Congressman Don Davis grew up working on tobacco fields in eastern North Carolina. Now representing a district where tobacco farming is a key part of the economy, he says a ban would be devastating.
Not just thousands of jobs been on the line, but those thousands of jobs been on the line without a replacement.
There are also fears that going ahead with the ban could cost Biden the support of some black voters, who he needs to win re-election. Jackler doesn't buy the argument.
What I have found, when you make smoking inconvenient for smokers, they all want to quit but find it difficult. And if you make it inconvenient and the product that they desire isn't there, it helps them to quit and at least to reduce.
Biden was supposed to make a final decision in early spring, but there's no sign of what he'll do. In Washington, Reuben Jones, Spectrum News 1.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.